Welcome back, Benchwarmers. The NHL All-Star break is here, and they're trying something new.
They'll be having the first ever Four Nations face-off tournament. It's kind of like a mini World Cup of hockey.
The round-robin tournament will be between the U.S., Canada, Sweden, and Finland.
So I'm guessing Canada's winning, right? I mean, they made the sport.
I don't know. The U.S. roster looks pretty good. I'm Corey. Let's do that hockey.
I'm Brendan, here to learn.
I'm Aaron, hockey fanatic, and this is our view from the bench.
Before we get started, if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss any one of the new episodes.
Also, if you could please do us the favor, if you like what you see here, please don't forget to smash that like button.
Smash it for us. Come on. It's free. It's free for you. It's free for us. Helps out the channel a lot more than you probably think.
Hell yeah.
Well, we have a special occasion here today, Corey. Corey, we have Aaron. I just met you, Aaron. Aaron, nice to meet you. This is Corey's
Nice to meet you.
coworker, friend, both, I guess.
Yep.
Corey, take it away. Who we got here?
Yeah, so Aaron and I work together at the Honda Center for the Anaheim Ducks in the merchandise department, and when I'm always talking hockey there, Aaron and I are usually the two in the area with the conversation. So I thought talking about the Four Nations face-off, which is the first time it's ever happened, it would be a good idea to bring someone in who might know a little bit more about hockey and what's going on than you and I do typically. So Aaron, welcome, and thank you for coming in.
Of course, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this. Should be a fun time.
All right.
I'm here to learn, baby. I'm ready. I do love
All right.
hockey. I think we were talking about it beforehand. It's arguably the best sport to watch in person, yet it's the sport I pay attention to the least. So I'm hoping this is going to give me that oomph to follow the rest of this season at least.
Yeah,
Most
hopefully.
definitely.
And then that's what the NHL is hoping for. They talked actually before we get into the tournament too. Aaron, I know they just announced about the World Cup of Hockey. Do you want to give us a little bit of intro or info into what's going on there?
Yeah, of course. So I know going into this tournament, it was normally during the All-Star break. You know, you've got the typically, like most sports, you got an All-Star game, and typically, like most All-Star games, it's kind of a little dry, a little bland. About giving a 30% effort from most guys, it feels like.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those tournaments that they've decided to put on here that's going to be something more competitive, a lot more exciting to watch. And the last time they had a tournament like this was the World Cup of Hockey. So back in 2016 was the last time they had them. And they had a lot more nations participating than this one. This being the Four Nation face-off, obviously only has Canada, United States, Finland, and Sweden. But last time around, they had a team for Russia. They had a Team North America, which was an under 23 team, rookie team.
The black jerseys, right?
Yes, which were very sick. NA on the front, North America jersey. Really cool. Actually, a really clean look. And to put it in perspective, thinking about talking about the Ducks here, you've got Gibson was on that rookie team, and now the guy's pushing 30, and it's literally been nearly a decade since best on best in hockey from the NHL players. So yeah, they did confirm that they are looking to bring that tournament back more regularly, and this is like that dry run, that test run of what it's going to be like, as well as almost an audition for the Olympics next year, because the actual Winter Olympics NHL players are heading back.
So then
I was going to say real quick, that's probably the key piece there is getting all these people to care enough to because really they only care about Olympics in essence for all-stars, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, representing your country, that's always going to drive players, it doesn't matter what sport, and putting on your team's crest and your nation's crest, rather. And it's definitely a lot more exciting than an all-star game that, for better or for worse, there's no real reward or penalty for doing poorly in it. It doesn't affect anything for playoffs. There's no, it's not like the NBA midseason tournament where there's actually, a little bit more at stake. It's kind of, I think they've done a decent job. A little money, a little payola doesn't hurt. But I think you get a car for MVP. You get a Honda Pilot or whatever it is. So
Honda's sponsor me.
I would go crazy for, hey, free car. But I think most of these guys are well clear of the needing a car status. So
yeah, for sure. All right, so since now we're talking about just the Four Nations face-off tournament itself, since as you said, this is the first time they're doing it. What are your thoughts on the tournament itself? I know the first two games have been played, but I think U.S. is about to win this game tonight here.
Yeah, let's see it pull over. I think it's over now. I think I got the stats here. I think it's done. It was done from the start of the third period here. USA really put on a show. But I don't know. It looks like it's got a little bit more time. Not much, a couple minutes. But honestly, there was a lot of apprehension, I think, from fans. And you see online people discussing it where they were thinking, it's not the Olympics. It's only 4 teams, so there's only so much different variety you're going to get in the games. They're going to play each other each once, and it's leading into a championship game. But it's been completely the opposite. It's been high-paced, fast-paced hockey. It's been honestly some of the best hockey I've seen this season for sure. Because I think
Nice.
early this year we've been seeing a lot of teams kind of having these huge blowout games, and it's been a lot of offense. And while USA just kind of killed Finland right now, outside of the fact that the first two periods here, it was a really close match, and same with the Sweden-Canada game last night. So it's been something really fun to watch, and it's just really cool to see all these players that haven't got a chance to play for their nation come together. Guys like Connor McDavid, who, even if you're not into hockey, most people know McDavid. Exactly.
Yeah.
And he never played for Team Canada on one of these little tournaments.
Really?
Because when he came in, that Team North America in the 2016 World Cup, he was the under 23, so he didn't play for Canada, he played for North America. And with the way the Olympics hasn't worked out, just a little bit of background on that, I guess, NHL has not been able to strike a deal with the Olympic Committee to let their players go over, because for the most part, all the owners and teams are bankrolling it themselves. I mean, the International Ice Hockey Federation, all that, they're not paying these guys. It's off there, and they want to go voluntarily, but they're also not helping them when they get hurt. So it's like, if you're sending your players there middle of the year, February, right before playoffs, a couple months, your star goes, breaks a leg.
Not good.
No compensation, nothing. And there's no real benefits to them.
But I think overall for the game, it's better for them to do that. But I do understand the rare thing that could happen, somebody get really injured. But so far, so good. As you said, the first two games, sold out crowds in Montreal, which has been really nice. I mean, it's Canada, so of course they're going to show up for games there. But
true.
When they get ready to move on to Boston for the next couple games moving into the tournament, like, how are you thinking, I guess, from the moving forward? Are they going to continue to just do it Montreal, Boston? Are they going to move it to different cities when they try to do these tournaments? Or has there been any discussion about that kind of stuff yet?
I think for the most part, they'll probably want to keep it they might tour it around a couple different places, especially World Cup of hockey. When that comes around, they'll give it to new buildings. You might see a Vegas host it at some point. They love Vegas right now. They've had a lot of events there. They've had the awards for years there. They just did the draft there and all-star games as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them get it next, honestly, that World Cup of hockey, I think in 2028. But luckily, they really made the right choice, I think, with Montreal. It's the largest capacity building in the league. I think it's just above 21K.
Oh, wow.
So that really makes it so you can get the most fans in there at once, to see those games. And then giving both sides of the border a chance to see it, too. You've got people in Canada that get to see the opening rounds. Down here in the States, over in Boston at TD Garden, you're going to be able to see the championship game. So it's going to be
more important. So
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying.
As close as I got to America, I got the red, white, and blue here. So we'll rock
baby.
it.
I got a question then. Do you know, like, if this continues, maybe they expanded, like you said, to more than 4 nations. Will they have it because the NHL is here? Will they have it elsewhere? Like, technically, it's involving Sweden and Finland. Do you think they'd move like to there, or if other countries become involved once Russia in the war, maybe, and then Russia will probably be back in it? Do you think they'd go there?
Yeah, I think it's not a bad point, actually. I know that for different international tournaments, like every year they'll have the World Junior Championships, which is an international tournament for the underage, like the 18 through 23 or 22. I'm not sure the age range on it off the top of my head, but that'll be a tournament that moves around from country to country. And they do have a summer international competition as well that sometimes moves around. Right, and those unfortunately are never best on best, just because playoffs are still happening. So you got a lot of the best players in the NHL still playing for the NHL. So those are not quite good examples of best on best per se, but they do draw big crowds, especially in Europe, especially in places like Sweden, like even Denmark or Finland or any of these places. They get good attendance, and it's definitely an opportunity to grow the game. The league will have, like most leagues, they'll have global series games. Like, I think, are the Rams going over to Australia? Or no, who's going to Australia?
The Rams are going to Australia in 2026.
Yes, and so they'll do that. They've done Australia. They had the now defunct Arizona Coyotes play the LA Kings in Australia a few years ago, and that seemed to be pretty successful. They've sold out those barns. They've been to Germany. They've been to China. So they definitely wanted to showcase the game. So I think for this tournament, for the World Cup, they'll probably keep it in the North American region, just because that's where their main customer base is, the main audience that watches.
Well, and you mentioned
mostly the TV time zones, I'm thinking, too.
Well, the NHL players are involved in it. You don't want them to take not only a 2-week break to play in this, but let alone, fly across the world.
Exactly.
You want to
make sense.
Everybody close. So
that's why I was asking, like, since it's NHL-ish, they'd probably keep it closer. So
which,
it's
speaking
true.
of, USA has officially won 6-1. So
there you go.
Scored again.
USA.
Nice.
So 6-1 USA wins, and and Canada yesterday, as Aaron mentioned, 4-3 win over Sweden. So the first 2 games are done. we've got a couple more games looking at the rest of the schedule here. On Saturday, we'll switch opponents: Finland versus Sweden, U.S. versus Canada, and
Ooh,
everybody will fly to Boston to play on Monday. So U.S. Canada is obviously going to be the main game at 5:00 our time. So,
okay.
Aaron, obviously we're from the U.S., so we want them to win. But your honest opinion, what do you think of this game between USA and Canada?
It's going to be obviously the most exciting game of the tournament. These are the two heavyweights, the two favorites to win. You've got, I think I saw a poll from the league the other day, just looking at the tournament. It's like 46% USA to win, 49% Canada, and then like the remaining 3% go to the other two teams. So, or whatever that was. It's literally not much. It's like, yeah, it's like 3% on Sweden or 2%. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's nothing. Yep. It's everyone knows, and that could be a bias of the people watching, but it's very much the most stacked look. You have the USA, who from top to bottom is probably the most built out team. They've got the best goaltending in the tournament, I would say. They've got any one of their three goalies could really be a game stealing player, and you've got a stacked defense. The forward group is insane. But having said that, Canada, they always have the upper hand. It's their game, as we said at the beginning.
Canadians.
They have that pride. They have more pressure, honestly, because that's their game. They go home, and
it's like
everyone
us in basketball in the Olympics.
Exactly. It's definitely that level of pressure for a team to perform, because it's their nation's pride on the line there, and they've definitely. In most recent years, that World Junior Tournament I was mentioning, Canada almost always dominates, and they've lost, I think, 3 in a row, I want to say, or 2 in a row, and they haven't even medaled for 2 years either, which is insane. They're really getting smoked out there, and it's there's like people, and these are for even younger players, and they're absolutely like ripping them a new one, trashing on these young players, and it's like, hey, these guys are still growing players, but it's they take it seriously. So, and with that hope comes a lot of expectation. So for Canada to get knocked out, it's going to take a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I'm ready. I mean, I'm not playing, but I'm ready.
And Aaron, you mentioned Canada and US obviously being the favorites at plus 160, Sweden plus 400, and Finland at plus 900 is what I was able to find. So, but as far as looking at the rosters, not just who you think is going to win, but who do you think has, or what is your favorite roster of the 4 teams?
No bias answer here. It definitely is USA. I mean, they have got some of the most elite forwards in the game. You've got guys like Austin Matthews, who's won the goal scoring race several years here. You've got both the Tkachuk brothers, who their father used to play in the league, Keith Tkachuk. And these guys, Matthew Tkachuk just won with the Florida Panthers, and he was pivotal.
I thought I recognized
pivotal.
That name.
Yep. That guy, he's a pest to play against. When he used to play in Calgary, we'd see him more often play against the Ducks, and that guy was not fun to play against. He's one of those guys that gets under your skin. Rides the line.
He was Corey Perry at the time.
Exactly.
Okay.
If he told us,
oh God, you hate him.
If he came out and said, "Oh, I grew up loving Corey Perry," I'd be like, "That makes sense. That tracks." Because that guy, oh my goodness, people hated Perry when he was in Anaheim, and people hate Tkachuk no matter where he goes. And his younger brother Brady, who was with the Ottawa Senators, and they had quite a game this game. I know Brady had 2 goals, Matthews got 1. They started them separate. I knew that wasn't going to last. By the end of the game, they had thrown them together, and that's when the explosion happened. They got a lot of goals out of that line.
See, that's the
you
line.
Got built-in chemistry, playing most of their lives together. I would say you got to run it.
Playing out in the backyard or downstairs.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. They've got, and then that's just talking about the forwards. Their defensemen are great. You've got Adam Fox, who's from the Rangers, who has won the Norris Trophy before. He's a super offensive defenseman. Like, he'll put up. I'm a Ducks fan. I hate to say he'll probably put up more points than all of the Ducks players. He'll get more than any one Ducks player. I mean, on our team, which is crazy because he's still got. Although he's struggled to score this year a little bit. The Rangers have struggled in general this year. They're very much middle of the pack, which was kind of an underperformance. But he's still got what it takes. And in a high pressure game like these, they literally can't afford to lose any of them. So you've got Werenski for the Blue Jackets, Columbus, who is killing it this year. He's probably the favorite or one of the favorites to win Defenseman of the Year. He's been grabbing this Columbus team who had no business really being in contention. I was just
going to say, yeah.
And
although having everything happen, obviously in the offseason kind of brought them together. Maybe that's a kind of one of those.
And that's a good point. Yeah. I saw in the broadcast they mentioned that if Johnny Gaudreau, who's a player for the Blue Jackets that passed away, he was passed away this past summer, and that made headlines. Him and his brother, and they've really kind of rallied around.
They were out for their sister's wedding?
Yes, they were out to
dude.
visit.
Oh,
They were
that's
just
right.
biking. They got hit by a drunk driver. It's just a bad, all around bad thing. and
Terrible,
it's
bro.
terrible. All of the hockey community was, totally moved by
Yeah.
that. And he was such a dominant player for many years too. He played for Calgary for a lot of
Johnny
years.
Hockey, he was
He's
the
Johnny
shit.
Hockey. He scores a
that's
goal.
sad.
They play Go Johnny Go. It's one of those things. He's such a good story too, because he got drafted so late, being a smaller player. I think he might have been generously like 5'8" or
Yeah.
5'9"
jeez.
generously, and yet he's just made do. He's a tough player. He was a tough player, and I know the team would say they're rallying around that for sure. They've got his dad and his family out there to be with the team. They're always hanging his jersey in the locker room, number 13. They've got that
That's
reserved
good.
for him. So
yeah, I'm actually looking forward to see what they'll have for him at the outdoor game next month.
Yes.
At the Horseshoe when I go. I'm interested to see what they'll do or how they'll, have him there in a sense, I guess.
Yeah, his presence will be felt there for sure. You're definitely going to have that be a major part of that event, I would think. So
yeah, absolutely. So okay, so now you told us your favorite roster. We obviously you were rooting for USA to win, but who do you actually have winning it all?
I think if it has to come down to it, we're looking at a finals game between Canada and the US.
Mhm.
It should be. It probably will be. And it's going to be a 1-goal game. It's going to be way back the last time that we had, or one of the last times we had NHL players play in the Olympics. It was an overtime game. Yep. Actually, 14, I think, was the last one, but 2010 is the one that everyone thinks of because it was a USA-Canada final, and it's the gold medal goal.
Brendan, do you remember
Sidney
watching
Crosby.
that?
It's an electric moment.
Oh, that was the worst. I remember we got into that overtime. Brendan, were you there at the greenhouse when we watched that game? That was like, we all lost our mind when Crosby scored in overtime. It was the worst.
I may have been, bro. The greenhouse was named the greenhouse for a reason. I don't know what went there. You know what I'm saying?
So
you have it coming down to a 1-score game in the championship.
And it could go either way.
Tell me.
Literally go either way.
Oh, you got to pick one though, Aaron. Come on, you got to pick one.
I'm gonna say, just based on the fact that USA's got the better goaltending, I think there'll be a huge save from our starter Connor Hellebuck, and you've got to go up the other way. A nice goal for the US. I think you got USA taking it.
Nice.
Let's go.
Okay, so obviously US wins it, so we're thinking MVP is going to come from the USA team. Now, up on the screen here, you'll see I have a graphic of like the MVP odds for all the guys. There's a bunch of them on there, so we're not going to list them all.
It's mostly just Canada and the US.
Basically, there's one guy from Sweden on there. But USA ends up winning this. One, do you see a USA player winning the MVP, or do we have it where somebody on Canada just had a great tournament but unfortunately lost and gets it? And if that's the case, who do you have winning it?
It definitely could come down to that. I mean, Canada, they had a struggle kind of keeping Sweden away from that win. They had to take it to overtime last game, their first game of the tournament. But the expectation is that they should get their fair share of goals in this tournament. Some nice spread out wins is the idea. And so it definitely could come down to a Canadian player that just clearly dominated. So far, Sidney Crosby, as we mentioned, he already has 3 points in the one game, and he's looking like he's turned back the clock back to. He's 37 now. He got hurt right before this tournament.
I didn't realize he was that old.
I was waiting for Brendan to realize how old he was.
37. Guy drafted right in that 05 lockout for the NHL lockout season, and
I've been a Crosby fan for a while.
Should have been a duck.
Should have been a duck if the lottery. I'm just saying, lotteries don't go our favor ever. But
yeah, we also missed out on the Blackhawk last year.
It's two of them.
Yep. It's not been a fun time, but we'll take it as we go. But Crosby, if I had to pick a Canadian player, it's got to be Crosby. But I think overall, it might come down to a player like Connor Hellebuck, the goaltender for the USA. He didn't have to work too hard today, didn't face that many shots, but he still kept him to just 1 goal. He's been a Vezina winning goalie, probably will win it again this year too, goalie of the year. And even though he really struggled in the playoffs last year, like they got smoked, and I still not convinced he was 100% healthy playing that because he just did not look like himself. But a fully healthy Connor Hellebuck, he's probably one of the best in the league right now. And it's goaltending like that would totally keep you in a game and a close game like a game against Canada. He might be that MVP level player. So I think I might go with Connor Hellebuck to take it.
All right, so your gamblers out there, Aaron's telling you USA and Hellebuck on the bets.
Hey, parlay that together. That's a good one. Now, Corey mentioned it before. I know we're getting close to wrapping, but Corey mentioned it before about maybe a Canadian player pulling it off, even if what you are hopefully predicting happens in the U.S. Didn't that just happen to McDavid?
It did. It literally did. And I haven't even mentioned McDavid that much, but he's a player that he literally drives that Edmonton team, and he takes them far. Not on his own. He's got help from Leon Draisaitl,
Of course.
but man, they
'Cause they lost
overachieved
the
so
cup
far. They
when
lost
he
the
was
cup in a Game 7, and he won the MVP of the whole playoffs, which only happens once in a blue moon. It's happened maybe
Yeah, Jerry
5 or
West.
6 times. It's
It's
literally
only happened twice, and I can remember it off the top of my head. Is Jaguar with the
Yeah,
Ducks when they
Jaguar
lost
with the
in
Ducks.
3, and then McDavid. Those are the only two.
Wow. Yeah.
and
So
it
it's rare.
happens
Well,
like
hopefully-
once every 15 years. I swear, it's not a common thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, no offense to McDavid, but if he is the best player, I hope the same thing happens. Go America.
He can have the MVP. We'll
He
take
can
home
have
the
it.
championship.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, Brendan, do you have any other questions before we wrap up out of here?
No, dude, this was actually super informative, man. I'm kind of pumped. I'm really looking forward to this Canada-US game. Was
It's
it
must
Saturday?
watch. It's
Yeah,
Saturday. I
Saturday
think it's at 5 Pacific here. It's going to be must watch. That's going to be It's got to be one of the best games of the tournament.
Nah, dude, I'm stoked, actually. This got me kind of ready. Again, Aaron, you don't know me very well, but I'm a huge football fan. I'm falling, obviously, into a little bit of depression, seeing that the season is now over. Again, I was indifferent about the Super Bowl, but just the fact that there is no more football for a while. I've been kind of just crying in the corner, but this is kind of getting me out to be, maybe let's accept other sports as well. There's other things to do out there besides
It's exciting
football
stuff happening in hockey, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm stoked, actually. This is pretty cool. I'm excited. So thank you again, dude, for the time, Brian, explaining it all
Of
to us.
course. Anytime.
Appreciate everybody. Let us know down in the comments below. Who you got winning the first Four Nations face-off? USA?
No, I'd say, let's be honest. USA's got the best roster, according to Aaron, so we're going USA, right? But let us know in the comments below or on Twitter and Instagram at RVUFTB.
Appreciate everybody stopping by. Thank you, as always, for seeing things from RV from the bench. I'm Brendan.
I'm Corey. Like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.
This was a Sycamore 4th Studios production.